Hello. So I'm going to explain briefly what I do as a neuroscientist and why it might be of some interest to people in computer vision. And that was my role in the Muri meeting, the Muri consortium, was to work with computer vision people to see if they could learn anything from the way that neuroscientists think about the brain. So this is me a long time ago doing experiments on binocular vision, which is how lots of people study 3D vision. And I think there's a problem about doing it that way, that you fix the head and you think about 3D vision in relation to the head, because you don't move around. And it's not thinking about the problem that SLAM does with a general moving camera trying to reconstruct the world from many different viewpoints. So I moved on to uh, build a virtual reality lab like this, and this is a rather old-fashioned headset now, but it was modern at the time. Right, and this is one of the things that we can do in virtual reality. We can put people in a maze like this, and they're wandering around and trying to remember where objects are that they find, and then they have to point to them. And this is a plan view of the scene. So they're wandering around this maze, and the purpose of this is that we can change the scene as they move around. So they can't visually detect at the moment that it changes that anything has happened, but the structure of the scene has changed, and that messes with their representation, and we're interested in what kind of representation they build. And this is another example of a scene that changes as the observer moves around through it. So on one side of the room it's small, on the other side of the room it's large, but visually it looks like an ordinary room. And people have no idea what's happening, what's going on here. And that means that they don't have an idea of what the baseline is, the distance between optic center 1 and optic center 2, because if they did, they should be able to reconstruct the room up to scale.
This experiment will help scientists to understand how our brains interpret three-dimensional images and to develop ways of making robots see things as we do. Watch this space then for further developments. Steve Lunt, BBC South Today, Oxford.
Gosh, all seems quite complicated.
Okay, so we do lots of experiments in virtual reality. This one is one where we do it both in VR and in the real world. And the plot on the left shows that when you plot the data gathered in VR against the data gathered in the real world, they're highly correlated, and you get large systematic biases in this particular task when you're trying to point at something that you haven't seen for a while. So the one-line summary of all this, the brain does not build a 3D reconstruction of the world, i.e. it doesn't do photogrammetry. I've been doing this kind of thing. So yeah, you do have local relationships, but not globally consistent relationships like this picture. And I've been doing this for a long time, happy to talk about any of it, but that's the one-line summary of it all. And the take-home message is that you, computer vision or machine learning experts, you really need a canvas. What do I mean by that? Well, as far as I understand, you don't have one at the moment. And the brain needs one too. And neuroscientists like you don't have a good idea on how to do this. But I was interested that Bill Triggs, I was at a talk of his back in the 1990s in the Jenkin building, and he made this point. You need something between pixels and a 3D model of the world. And as a consequence, because you don't have this canvas, you and also neuroscientists try to do everything in one sudden step, which means that you tend to fall flat on your face and adversarial images are one example of that. And neuroscientists also get stuck because they don't have this canvas. So what do I mean? So the cortex does just like one brush stroke. But achievements, the amazing things the brain does, are things that happen over time, many brush strokes. Or if there's another analogy, the cortex puts two Lego bricks together, okay? But what the amazing things the brain does are putting many Lego bricks together over time. And when you look at adversarial images, so you're very good at saying all these images are categorized as a pig, all these images are categorized as an aeroplane, but this one, the pig with a little bit of noise, falls in the aeroplane category. And really the cortex isn't doing magic all at once, and nor should a neural network. So you don't build something complicated like this in the cortex all at once. What you do is put Lego bricks together one pair at a time, and then you can get something complicated. So in summary, think seriously about the idea of a canvas. That's my one take-home message. It's been great fun working with you guys, and thank you to all the people who did the work. Okay, thanks very much.